Please go ahead, sir.
Sangeeta, you can start, please.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sangeeta Narayan. I'm a dietitian, a fitness consultant, a nutrition educator, and a health content writer. On behalf of ASSOCHAM, India's apex trade association, which promotes an environment for the growth of trade and industry and acts as an interface between issues and initiatives, we heartily welcome you to our webinar on building immunity through nutritious foods during COVID-19. And we hope you will find it extremely useful while taking care of yourself and your loved ones. We have with us a panel of highly eminent speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Anil Rajput, the chairman of ASSOCHAM CSR Council and Senior Vice President Corporate Affairs, whose vision is to have a holistic India-centric approach where all stakeholders think in unison and in unison to make India a global economic powerhouse. Our next guest needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Shikha Sharma. Dr. Shikha Sharma is a medical doctor by training and the founder of the organization NutriHealth. She has pioneered the concept of using telenutrition and a personal health app, which is so much more relevant in today's times. Dr. Shikha Sharma, great to have you here. May I now request Mr. Anil Rajput to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you very much, Sangeeta.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It's my proud privilege to welcome Dr. Shikha Sharma, founder and managing director, Dr. Shikha's NutriHealth, and Ms. Sangeeta Narayan, well-known wellness presenter and fitness consultant. Distinguished participants and friends, good afternoon. I wish we were meeting under normal circumstances and not during pandemic. This COVID-19 pandemic has had destabilizing impact on almost all walks of life for barely 9 months now. 5 months now. Right now, from nations to societies to economies, and down to the health of individuals, it has been extremely stressful period for all. It has also been absolutely unprecedented situation. One has taken quite a bit of time for us to understand the magnitude of, along with painful reality of how slow Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now is here.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we can hear you. Please go ahead, sir.
I don't know how. Up to which place, how slow? It has been absolutely unprecedented situation. One that has taken quite a bit of time for us to understand the magnitude of, along with painful reality of how slow the recovery is likely to be, has finally set in. In all this, it is the individual who has been at the center of all-round anxieties and insecurities, be it at the economic or at the personal health front. It is the wide spectrum of damage that this pandemic has caused that has made many of us feel dejected and harbor an impending sense of doom from respiratory to kidney and from heart to blood. Everything is vulnerable if, God forbid, one has to get this virus. Therefore, The old and golden adage, prevention is better than cure, is something that we should all be actually following, because that has lived up all through the years, that if we take preventive measures, we can actually save many of the problems that come in our way. So I have been actually propagating that it is for whether it is for our well-being, whether it is for our health, whether our mental stimulation, what we need is to continue to focus on our mental health and physical health. The role of nutrition in all these trying times is vital, and in fact is the need of the hour. Proper nutrition helps the immune system in several ways by working as an antioxidant to protect healthy cells, supporting growth and activity of immune cells, producing antibodies, and ophthalmologist studies find that those who are poorly nourished are at much greater risk of bacterial, viral, and other forms of infections. Therefore, a balanced diet consisting of minerals like zinc, selenium, and iron, and vitamins, especially vitamin C and D, is extremely important. Here, I would like to stress on equally important role of regular exercises, proper sleep, and meditation. These, along with nutritious diet, will make us much stronger and tougher for the virus to invade. I will not get into the details, as we have experts in this field who will share their analysis and views on the importance of building immunity through nutritious food, especially in the backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic. I must compliment the government for its proactive role in the field of nutrition. The policymakers have worked closely with corporate world with the overall objective of providing safe, healthy, and affordable products to the maximum number of people. I'm confident that we are on the right path, and the government's sustained effort will lead to even more encouraging results in future. I look forward to an engaging session, and I'm eager to hear the various viewpoints and opinions of the experts on the very important topic of building immunity through nutritious food. I wish you all the very best and engaging discussion going forward. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Amitji, can we have the slide, please? The previous one. So before we start, we'd like to share that the webinar is getting recorded. You can feel free to ask any questions that you want, and we'll take it up towards the end of the session. So let's start with exactly what is coronavirus and why is it so important for us to build our immune system. You know, coronavirus is SARS, or severe acute respiratory syndrome related, which causes the disease COVID-19. The virus's genetic material, if you will notice, the round lipid envelope has spike proteins which attach itself to the host, and it is highly communicable. You know, if you come across a person who's infected, say even if they are talking to you, or accidentally if they sneeze, chances are you'll catch the virus. Not only that, if an infected person kind of touches, say has sneezed or coughed and has touched some other surface, and you also happen to touch the same surface, chances are that the virus will again find you as a host and try to get in. Once the virus gets into the system, it attaches itself and multiplies rapidly, destroying the epithelial cells of the lungs, which causes fever, shortness of breath, headache, sore throat, cough, pneumonia, and in more active cases, pneumonia and death. Uh, COVID-19 can happen to anyone, but the ones who have a very weak immune system, like children, elderly patients, and patients with comorbidities, are at a higher risk. Amit, can we have the next slide, please? So what exactly is immunity and why is it so important? Immunity is our body's ability to fight infections, diseases, and stop microorganisms from invading the cells. Our body has two types of immunities, the specific immunity and non-specific immunity. Specific immunity means the immune cells kind of work towards attacking and destroying a particular kind of virus, and that's why it's called specific. These are your cell-mediated immunity, humoral immunity, plasma accessory cells, antibodies. These are the ones that form the specific immunity system. And the non-specific immunity are the ones like your skin, the mucous membranes, various body secretions, leukocytes, white blood cells, iron-binding proteins, hormonal influences, nutrients like vitamin A, C, protein, zinc. These nutrients act like an antioxidant and are important for the formation of regular skin, bone cells growth. And that is why it's very, very important. Both the specific and the non-specific immunity work closely, and till the time they are running smoothly, we don't even think about it. We don't even bother about what virus is attacking us and how our body is fighting it. But the minute the immune system weakens is when we get to know what the human body is all about. To have a very strong immune system, there are three pillars: exercise, sleep, and nutrition. And nutrition is one of the most important role, plays a very, very important role when it comes to building your immunity. Like we said, while we are stressing on some specific micronutrients, it is important that we consume a balanced diet, because both all of these vitamins, minerals, they all work together to, for example, calcium aids in the absorption of vitamin D. So it's not that they work separately. So, and that's why it's very, very important. Let us now come on to Dr. Shikha Sharma. Dr. Sharma, how important is it to have a balanced diet, and what are the foods that you recommend to improve immunity? Dr. Sharma, can you hear me?
Hello, Ms. Sangeeta. Could you repeat the question? I think I missed your question.
Yes, doctor. We wanted to know how important is it to have a balanced diet, and what are the foods that you recommend to improve immunity?
Okay. See, first, Ms. Sangeeta very eloquently has explained that immunity is dependent on the amount of we consume, as because these are the vitamins and minerals which the human body needs to build its defense forces, and not only that, even to fortify its layer, the epithelial layer, as was mentioned. So for this, we need to have certain vitamins and minerals in our diets. Now, fundamentally, let's look at what are the basic immune boosting vitamins and minerals, which are non-negotiable. Means that if you don't have them, then they will directly impact your immunity and decrease it. Of course, there are other vitamins and minerals which are, but where the body has certain, you can say, reservoirs to manage. Now, first thing is vitamin C. If your levels of vitamin C drop, and vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, if your levels of vitamin C drop, that means the body will start compromising and shift to critical functions and decrease all other functions. Now, what is the critical function in the body? The critical function is heartbeat. It is the brain. It is basic digestion. It is movement, like for when or you are in your daily your breathing. So all those are critical functions which are life and death, which means that if your body dips low on reservoirs, it will shift all its nutrients to your critical functions like heartbeat, breathing, digestion, and other things. So when the vitamin C level drops, then the immune system will drop low. So first thing is, how do you fortify yourself with vitamin C? Now there are many supplements which these days are available, but there are natural ways also by which you can fortify your body. And one of the most popular natural way is it is found a key, and it is also found in various combinations. The interesting thing about amla is that this entire years back. Now the story goes that there was a rishi Chavan, and he was doing in the deep forest. He was doing meditation and penance, and like in olden times, they would survive getting sunlight, water, and very illustrious. So the local king discovered that this rishi is very, very illustrious and very wise, and he wanted to marry his princess to this rishi. And the rishi realized that years of penance and meditation and living as a hermit had made him physically weak, outwardly weak, and so he wanted to rejuvenate himself. And as you can say, whether it's mythology or whether it is ancient Indian history, that he in his meditation he created this Chyavanprash. And the fascinating thing is, today when we talk about big brands, when we talk about what a brand is, India has created the world's first brand, which is thousands of years old, with a patent. It's non-patented, but the formula exists till today. And all companies who are into Ayurveda are utilizing the original formula to actually sell Chyavanprash. So even the name hasn't changed. It is on the name of the rishi called Rishi Chyavan. Now, this beauty of Indian traditions is what today in COVID times we need. We need the support of this amazing knowledge of Indian Ayurveda and traditions. So, like I said, if you take amla every day, and one amla person is what is basically required, you will fortify your immunity. Your body will get a lot of immunity. What is unique about amla is that normally if you take orange juice and keep it on the table, after an hour or so, the vitamin C starts getting oxidized when it comes in contact with air. That means the vitamin C level severely drops. But if you look at amla, even if you dry it, even if you make a churran, even if you put in a cooked dal, or even if you put amla and cook it in dal, the vitamin C levels don't drop so severely. This is something which science still has to discover, that what is the special thing about the vitamin C in amla, which does, because otherwise vitamin C is very quickly destroyed on its there is an immunity juice, if the organizers can put it up on screen. So there's an immunity juice which is both so you don't really have to feel as if you are having a medicine, because it's quite yummy. At the same time, it will boost your immunity because it has many components which for amla. The second is an apple, and we have heard many times people say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It keeps the disease away. And so one apple, it has 2 tomatoes. It has bottle gourd to give it volume, and to also bottle gourd is very good in, it has many enzymes. It has mint 5 leaves, ginger, rock salt, because normally basically bleach salt. So white salt is bleach salt. It's not healthy. Rock far more healthier, far more minerals in it. And then there is something called it grows in Himalayas, in Leh, Kargil, Ladakh. So all you have to do is every day, if you want to boost your immunity, if you want to have a healthy skin, if you want to have a glowing skin, you just drink this juice. Now, as you can see from the ingredients, that all ingredients are easily available. They're not expensive, and everybody can drink it. So right from children of 5 years to senior citizens of 80, 85 plus, everybody can drink it. There is really no bar to, because all the components are very easy to digest. So this is something which is important. Now, coming to food, I think you had asked about what are the foods which are important. The first thing is foods which have natural minerals. Now, what are the foods which have minerals, but when we eat them, we destroy the minerals? So let's begin with food item number 1, which is wheat, gehu. Wheat in its original form, which is dalia, has many, many minerals. It has many electrolytes, phosphorus, it has zinc, it has selenium. But what we do is, in our strange wisdom, we remove the entire skin of wheat and powder it into a very refined maida. And now this maida has nothing. It really only has starch, which increases weight, which increases diabetes, which things we throw away. Similarly, there are many other foods when in its natural form, they have a lot of minerals. Like you have wheat dalia, then you have barley. Now, for some of the people who are aware of traditional foods, barley or jaw is considered excellent for people with blood pressure. It is considered excellent for people with ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, or any digestive problem. And barley is very rich in minerals also. In fact, barley water by itself is given to people who have infections or recurrent urinary tract infections, kidney infections, or liver infections. Can somebody just confirm from the organizers if I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So barley is another wholesome cereal which should be used in either as full carbs. You can mix flours and have barley. Like then there is another thing which is very common in northern India, which is chana sattu. Now chana sattu sounds very pedestrian, very basic, but really chana sattu had all the good elements where you had chana, and where in olden times when people would travel and there was no fast food available, they would take this powder, and wherever they could get a chance, they would crush a little bit of green chilies, and with curd they would have it. The next thing which are very important and which has been mentioned, selenium and zinc are very important. Now the very simple sources of selenium and zinc are oil seeds. Like for example, we talk about chia seeds, we talk about sunflower seeds, we talk about pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. So all seeds are good sources of zinc, selenium, and essential fatty acids. So every day, if we are having a handful of seeds in our diet, as a snack, or if for these handful of roasted seeds to a morning breakfast cereal, then automatically we are getting the benefits. So like flax seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. So we can roast it and keep it in a small bottle and sprinkle about a tablespoon with breakfast. Because we all know it, is that green vegetables and different colored vegetables are important. Now, in simple terms, in schools, it's taught as a rainbow diet. That means, are you eating all the colors of the rainbow? Normally, I have seen that in North Indian diets, mostly people consume a lot of starch, which is rice and wheat, and potatoes. And they may, if they are vegetarians, they'll have paneer or rajma, chana, chola. And if they're non-vegetarian, they'll have chicken or fish. But really, the vegetables is what is left on the side. It is not really consumed to the level it should be. So in a day, if you're not having at least 3 to 4 katoris of vegetables, you are going to get deficient in diet. And which means every day 2 vegetables you must cook. One could be a pumpkin, it could be bhindi, it could be karela. I mean, each vegetable is it by itself has tons of other health benefits. The next thing which is very important is that having enough water in the diet. I mean, I know water sounds like very simple, but in today's times, when you're all sitting in air-conditioned offices and homes, people do not have 3 liters of water. Now, why would water is important? Because water is not only a fluid, water has even minerals in the water. There are a lot of minerals which we absorb through water. And 3 liters of water is a must. Our bodies are 2/3 of water. So if you really look at the body, we all look very solid, but 2/3 of our body is actually just pure water. So, but finally, of course, there are more discussions and more things I'll talk about. But salads is something which is severely deficient in Indian diets. And most people, in the name of salad, would have 2 slices of cucumber and 2 slices of tomato. That's salad has to be actually a big bowl for lunch and a big bowl for dinner. And if you're not having that much salad, that means your microbiome, that means your intestine is already unhealthy, because your intestine needs that much of salad to keep its gut flora very healthy. And during the discussion, I'll talk more about the gut flora, the gut microbiome. And today, intestine is not just called a tube. It's not just simply a tube through which food goes. It is an entire ecosystem where you have a immunity, where you have your nervous system, and many other things which we'll discuss as we. Yes, Ms. Sangeeta.
Right, ma'am. So, ma'am, are there any Ayurvedic herbs that may be beneficial during these times? Apart from amla, any other Ayurvedic herbs?
So there are many Ayurvedic herbs which are beneficial. And first I'll talk about the Ministry of Ayush had come up with a quath, with a decoction, and I want to show it up on the screen, the Ayush quath. Now, the beauty of this Ayush quath is that it is simple, it is not expensive, it is something which can be made, from things at home. And the interesting bit is that all these things are which all of us have at home. So can somebody from the organizer put up the slide, please? The Ayush quath. Yes, the organizers, can you please put up the slide, please? Yes. So this is the immunity boosting quath. Now, quath basically means a decoction, which means that you basically you have to keep boiling till the essence is released into the water. It has cinnamon powder 2 grams. It has ginger crushed 1 tablespoon. It is also called shunthi in Ayurveda. Holy basil, which is Tulsi 5 leaves. You can, because now it's hot, you can reduce the quantity to 2. Otherwise, it was 5 earlier. And munakka. Now, what you have to do is basically you have to cook it till the time the decoction changes color, and have it with jaggery. People who are diabetics can avoid jaggery, but everybody else can have jaggery, because jaggery by itself also is good for the upper respiratory tract. And in olden times, and even today in Jharkhand mines and those areas, the workers, the miners, were actually given jaggery as a daily ration, so that they could protect themselves from the polluted environment in the mines, and they could keep their lungs healthy. And even today in many factories, jaggery people consume to protect their lungs. What is very interesting is, besides this in Ayurveda, first is Ashwagandha. Now, Ashwagandha is a herb which is very powerful. It can be given to children, it can be given to senior citizens, and everybody in between. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen, which means it builds your body's immunity, and it also reduces stress. So while it's not a sleep medication, because see, a lot of people who are used to taking Western medicines actually do a comparison that is ashwagandha like if I take ashwagandha I'll get better sleep. So it is not it's not a medicine like that in the way Western medicines work, but it over the period of weeks will build your it will help you manage stress better. How does it happen is by working on your deeper parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. So what happens is basically when we get stressed, our nerves are firing very fast. And they vitamins and minerals from the body. And then slowly, because they're firing very fast, we get exhausted, mentally exhausted. Now, what all these herbs do is they basically do two things. First is they will nourish you with the vitamins and minerals required for that function. And secondly, is they will make the function more smooth. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. So ashwagandha works on how your nerves fired, and gradually you feel more relaxed. And not only that, people who are struggling with frequent infections, whether they're children or seen or anybody else, they will see that their infection comes down. I mean, their frequency of infection comes down. So ashwagandha is normally given, it is boiled in milk and given, especially if children are to be taking ashwagandha. Otherwise, for grown-ups, capsules are available. Now, guduchi, which people understand as giloy.
Yeah.
Giloy is a blood purifier, and it has become like a star. So it's like an Amitabh Bachchan of today's herbs, right? So it is the original name is guduchi, and guduchi by itself, or giloy as we call it, purifies your blood. Now, what does it mean that it purifies your blood? It means that there are so many toxins circulating in your blood, which change the acid alkali of your entire body. Now, to keep the body alkaline, or to keep the body at the pH where it is ideal, the body has to draw a lot of calcium from the bones or from other alkaline minerals to keep the pH intact, because the body cannot function even for seconds if the pH changes beyond a level. And in fact, when I was working in the ICU, we used to monitor the pH very closely of the patients, because any change in pH beyond a point could lead to strokes or seizures, or the heart would stop immediately. So we had to very tightly monitor the pH. So what happens is, since the body has to maintain that pH, when it becomes when it starts shifting from one to the other end, the body will draw the minerals from the bones and other areas to change the acid alkali balance, to keep it under control. So giloy, by purifying the blood, basically means it helps the body to maintain that balance. That is the simple form. And obviously, when the blood is flowing with the correct balance, all the phagocytes, all the immune cells, they are in the peak condition. Are in Rajasthan and they don't have protective gear, or they are at Kargil and they don't have protective gear. So poor soldiers will be barely surviving, forget about fighting. So this is the same thing. When in your blood, the environment is very toxic, your soldiers, which are the T cells, the phagocytes, the macrophages, they barely survive, forget about fighting, they can't fight. So keeping the blood purified means giving the blood an environment where your fighter cells are very active. It's like they're fresh in that level of purified blood. Similarly, Tulsi, it's called holy basil because it has 40 benefits. So Tulsi is also one of the herbs which are used in Ayurveda. Then besides that, extensively used in Ayurveda, it has antiviral, antibacterial. And turmeric, I mean, we all know that in olden times, grandmothers would say, haldi ka doodh de do.
Yeah.
And it had twofold impact. One was that the prakriti, or the nature, or the tasir of milk changed from a very kapha or heavy to lighter, digestible. So putting turmeric or putting cinnamon or putting ginger in milk changes the tasir of the milk, or the post-digestive impact. So what is tasir? Tasir in English is basically post-digestive impact of a food. So after digestion, what is the impact of food? And what is amazing about Ayurveda is Ayurveda has written about the post-digestive impact of food. Like today, get modern nutrition. But in Ayurveda, they have written that what is the post-digestive impact of cow's milk, what is the post-digestive impact of buffalo's milk. And in fact, in Ayurveda, buffalo milk was not suggested at all. It was said that do not give children buffalo's milk. Otherwise, they'll become sluggish, they will have problems, they will have health problems. And we all know today that 90% of milk available is all buffalo's milk. Cow's milk is hardly available. And all the good properties of milk do not come from buffalo's milk. Because it's called tamasic. It makes the brain heavy, it makes the body heavy, and it leads to many cough disorders. But the cow's milk is sattvic, which means that it sharpens the memory, sharpens the brain, and improves your immunity and improves the body growth of children also. So that differentiation I wanted to bring out, that the post are important for different things. So I mean, I can carry on, but I think please, Sangeeta, you can ask questions and we can keep discussing.
Sure. So, doctor, is there a specific time, say, for example, if you're taking Giloya or Guduchi, is there a specific time of the day where
Yes,
that
am I
it will give
audible?
you? Yeah, yes, you are audible. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Doctor, we wanted to know, is there a specific time in the day that, these herbs will give you maximum results? Say, for example, what is the best time to take a Giloya?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, can you just repeat the question?
Yeah. So, what is the best time to take these natural herbs? Say, for example, a Giloya. What is the best time in the day to take it? Is it morning? Would it be afternoon or
Sorry,
night?
can you come again?
Dr. Shikha, can you hear me now?
Yes. Please.
Okay, doctor.
Yeah.
So, is there a specific time during the day that, if we consume these herbs, it will give us maximum benefits? Is there a specific time, like having it on an empty stomach early morning or in the afternoon or evening, or or can we have it at any time of the day?
Hello.
Dr. Sharma, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Sangeeta, I've lost you in between.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We just wanted to know, is there a specific time during the day when you should consume these herbs so that it gives you maximum benefit?
So there is, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello?
Yes, doctor, you are
Yeah.
audible. Yeah.
Yes. So the first thing is that most of the things which are hot in nature, like quartz should be taken early morning, and during the time of 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., one should never take heating herbs. This is the summertime, and so I'll just take a second to explain that in Ayurveda, the entire day is divided into Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. So not only are the body constitutions divided into Vat, Pitta, and Kapha, but the entire day is also divided into Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. So the change of time, early morning and late evening, when the time changes, that is the Vata time. The afternoon is the Pitta time, which normally is between 11 to 4 when the sun, it rises on the, to its peak and then sets. So that time, no heating herb should be ever taken. So all quartz or decoctions which have cinnamon and black pepper and pipali should always be taken either in the morning, or they can be even taken at night before going to bed. but ideally in the morning, because sometimes they are very stimulating, so your sleep might get impacted. All the cooling herbs should be taken during the day. That is, anytime from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. you can take all the cooling herbs. So the vegetable juice which I mentioned, this you can take anytime during the day, but ideally we suggest that any vegetable juice should be taken empty stomach for the best impact. Like similarly, fruit should be taken empty stomach for the ideal impact. Not that if you eat fruit at 5 o'clock, it's going to be harmful, but it will not be as beneficial, because that's not the ideal time for consumption. So like for example, milk. Now milk, if you take it during the afternoon, it will it will be very heavy for you. So ideally, milk should not be given to kapha people, but for other constitutions, it can be taken either in the morning, or for vata people who have a very dry constitution, they can take at night also. Like typically in Indian homes, people who don't get good sleep and who are very frail or who have a dry constitution, at night milk is suggested to them, only because the constitution. So that's how it should be taken. And of course, you have to manage the quantity, because like we were discussing the other day, that if Ayush Path is good, it doesn't mean that you have 5 times a day or 4 times a day, or you replace it with tea and you're having it too often, because it's like a medicine. So you should have it in the limited quantity.
Okay, that's great. Doctor, any special naturopathy techniques and tips that you might want to share with our viewers?
Yes, so you'll be surprised, all over the world today, Nasyam and Jalniti have become a rage. Now, for some of our audience who do not know what Nasyam is or what Jalniti is, Nasyam is an ancient Ayurvedic technique where you put few drops of ghee, organic ghee, in each nostril in the morning. So it's very simple, that you just have to warm the ghee so that it becomes liquid. It's not solid, and then just put back your head, and in each nostril put few drops of desi ghee. Now, why is it important? First thing, as you mentioned, that viruses attack the epithelial cells. How do they come? Is they attach themselves to the epithelial cells.
Correct.
And they sit there, and then they absorb, or they cross over, and then they enter the body and sit there, and then your body nourishes the virus. And with nourishment, it starts multiplying, and then using your body as a host, it starts killing cells, or it starts causing damage. So the first layer of defense is when you use ghee in your nostrils, it becomes harder for the virus, because the ecosystem has changed. So Nasyam is one of those things which really helps. Of course, some people use almond oil, but normally traditionally desi ghee was used in both the nostrils. Of course, there are medicated oils also available for people who have sinus, people who have allergy. A lot of people tell me that, oh, I'm getting brain fog. I mean, I'm not as fresh in the morning. My brains don't start working. I need my cup of coffee, and then only I.
Oh, yes. A lot.
Yes.
A lot of them say that. Yeah.
Yes. So I always suggest that 2 things if you do, and you'll see a difference. One is start doing this nasyam, which is put few drops of organic ghee in your nostrils in the morning. And the other is anilom vilom, which is alternate nostril breathing. And then you tell me whether you still need the coffee. Not that I don't say you shouldn't have the coffee. You should. You should enjoy the coffee. But if you do this, you will have I would say, a double kick. You'll be even more energetic. Right?
Absolutely.
So this is one. The other is Jalneti. Now Jalneti is also very simple. These days you get Jalneti niti pots also, and you get saline sprays also. So in Jalneti, what you do is you take water and just warm it little bit so that it is your body temperature, and put a pinch of salt, just a pinch, and then with this saline water, you tilt your head and pass water from one nostril to the other, and then you tilt your head again and pass water from one nostril to the other. What it does is, and after that you have to do breathing out exercise, which is Kapalbhati, so that all the water comes out. Now this simple technique you can do once on a Sunday or once a week. It will clear your sinuses. It will cleanse and purify your entire nasal tract. And people who have long-standing sinuses or infections or bad breath or ear, nose, throat area gets infected very frequently, it is ideal for them. And Jal Niti can be done by children as young as 9 years. So it is not something only seniors can do. Even 9-year-old kids can do this. They just have to be supervised. They just have, and these days you get very nice saline sprays also in case the kid can't do it. Now all these things are what? They are basically purifying, detoxifying, and protecting the epithelial tissues. So these are the age-old naturopathy techniques which worldwide are being discussed and talked about, not only in India.
Doctor, with work from home, online classes, Netflix, the average screen time has really gone up. In this scenario, how important is it to exercise, sleep? How important is exercise, sleep, and stress management? And what are your tips to incorporate them in the day-to-day life?
So first, I'll give the tip which is simple, and that is called Trifla eye wash.
Mhm.
So Trifla is also used as an eye wash, which means that clean water, the same water which you drink, in that you have to add Trifla, a
Mhm.
pinch of Trifla, and mix it well, stir it well, and then let it cool in the refrigerator for a while, and then sieve it. And with that water, you have eye cups. I wonder if some of you might have seen eye cups. So these are small cups, shape of an eye. So you take water, you clean the cups, and you take the water in those cups, and then you put it on your eyes and open your eyes and blink with the Trifla water.
Oh.
So this every day you could do. It will not only cool your eyes, it will also, a lot of people have yellowness in their eyes.
Yeah.
They have not jaundice, but they naturally have a yellow kind of an eye. So it'll all freshen up. The second thing is eye exercises. Now, eye exercises, again, you have to take a pencil and you have to move from far to near and near to far. And I think looking out and long distance is very important to relax the eye muscles. Finally, of course, a simple technique is you rub your palms and you cup your eyes. So for every 1 hour of screen time, cup your eyes for a couple of times, rub your eyes and cup your eyes. So if you do these three things, one is Trifla water, second is cupping of eyes, and third is exercises, your eyes will remain healthy despite the heavy usage of eyes and screen time and other things. And of course, sleep is very important. A lot of people compromise on sleep, and sleep is the only time your body gets to regenerate. So I would say, before the human doctors, the doctors were sunlight, air, sleep, and water. These are the real doctors. They can cure all diseases.
Very well said. Doctor, how should people with comorbidities like diabetes, high blood pressure, etc., take care of themselves? What should they eat, and how should they go about building their immunity?
So fundamentally, I think a lot of people today are worried that if we have comorbidities, then is there a special vaccine or is there a special food which will help us to protect from coronavirus? Now, first point is that your comorbidity has to be managed. So when I say comorbidities, people who are diabetics, they have to exercise, they have to eat right. There is no magic pill. If their blood sugar is not controlled, if their blood pressure is not controlled, and if they are not exercising, then there is very little which can help if their base body is not functioning well. So what I'm telling all diabetics is that, of course, take ashwagandha, take giloy, and take this vegetable juice. But make sure that you are not having refined flour. Make sure that you're not having things which have natural sugar, like you have these biscuits. All biscuits, even salted biscuits, even sugar-free biscuits, they are made of refined flour and arrowroot and maida. they're highly damaging for diabetics because they are like sugar. Similarly, when you eat bread, it is like sugar. It's as good as consuming sugar. So a lot of people don't understand that sugar is not just that sugar sweet granules. All suji, maida, arrowroot powder, corn flour powder, all of them are like sugar in your body. So this cannot be consumed if you want to control your blood sugar, because many people consume these foods, then take an extra dose of anti-diabetic medicine. And that's not really the correct way to balance your blood sugar. Or they take they increase their insulin shot slightly. I mean, you are a diabetes educator and you know that, they would eat the gulab jamuns and, beyond what they should be. And then they increase the use of insulin. So that once in a blue moon is okay, but that should not become the standard operating process, The second thing for diabetics is very, very important is exercise. We all know that our muscle also produces insulin. Now, if we are not going to exercise, especially diabetics, if they don't exercise, then they are actually creating an environment and they're inviting the virus, because the virus will very easily stick to the epithelial cells because it's already not balanced and cause more damage. So making sure that the blood sugar is naturally under control, not by over medication, not by over medicating yourself, but naturally your blood sugar is controlled, not having all these starchy things. And like, for example, chana sattu atta, it is very good for diabetics. Mixed flour atta with soya bean, with kala chana, with coarse wheat, not refined wheat, but coarse wheat, is very good for diabetics. So all these flours which are already there available in the market, they should take that. They should avoid white rice. A lot of people argue, I cannot give up rice. So sometimes, Hippocrates said, and he's called the father of modern medicine, that whenever a patient comes to you for treatment, the first question you should ask the patient is, are you willing to give up all those things which cause the disease? That's the first question you should ask. And if the patient is unwilling to give up those things, then it's a lifelong disease. Then it cannot be changed.
That's right. Doctor, any tips for senior citizens, expecting mothers and children?
Yes. So the thing about citizens is that, they are seeing life. So for them, COVID is not such a big crisis because they have seen many, many crises in their life, and they have seen many problems and challenges, and they have seen times when there were shortages in the country. They have seen difficult times. So for them, COVID is not such a big deal because they have seen worse times. The problem is people who have seen this kind of a situation for the first time in their life, they are under panic because they have never experienced something like this before. So I think for senior citizens, I would really say that they just take care of their comorbid conditions. They just look after their exercise and their nutrition, and they'll be fine, because I don't think they are very stressed. The people who are stressed are the people between 20s and 40s. They are the most stressed people today.
Yeah. Okay, doctor. For vegetarians, since protein is an important macronutrient and very essential for growth, repair, everything, for vegetarians, what are the things that they can consume so that they don't compromise on the protein intake?
See, for vegetarians, there are many, many things one can have. For example, nuts and oil seeds are very good source of protein and minerals. The second thing is, we all know paneer is very good. Soya tofu is very good. Then we have different kind of sprouted dals. So you can sprout and then you can cook it as a dal, or you can steam the sprouts and take that also. So the different sources of protein one gets from all these things. So fundamentally, nuts and oil seeds, dairy products, soya, tofu. Then mungfali, it's one of the favorite things. I mean, I think in most cities, mungfali, I don't know now if the carts are there, but they used to, roasted mungfali. So peanuts are an excellent source of protein by themselves. But what is important is, with proteins, you must have vegetables. Optimal digestion, protein needs to be accompanied by lots of vegetables. And overall in the diet, even fruits should be there, because that's how protein will be maximally utilized in the body.
True. Let's take up a few audience questions. The first one is from Icha Joshi. Immunity building tips for diabetic patients and liver patients. Yes, we just discussed the diabetic patients. Any tips that you would want to give for liver patients?
So I would say, you know, the immunity juice which we talked about. Immunity juice
Yes.
has a diabetic patient, and one can take that every day. And second thing for diabetic patients is always exercise. Now, people would say that, oh, exercise is only for weight loss. No, immunity is also built by exercise, because exercises produce a lot of hormones like endorphins, which have overall balancing impact on other hormones also, and including insulin. So when you exercise, you actually make your insulin more effective. So even with lesser insulin, it is more effective, it is more active.
Jagdish Pandey asks us, what type of diet do you generally recommend during pandemic time? Protein or carbohydrate-rich diets?
See, when we say protein-rich diet or a carbohydrate-rich diet, I think that's not really what is right. It is a balanced diet. Now, if I'm going to say that, okay, you only have protein, you don't have carbs at all, how would it be balanced? Or because for carbs, in any case, I'm not saying have aloo chips and potato chips. What I'm saying is fruits will have carbohydrates. Vegetables also have a bit of carbohydrates. And whole grains, like I said, oats and barley and dalia have carbohydrates.
Mr.
You know, see,
Rajaram,
extremism is never good, whether COVID or not COVID. Extremism is not good. Like a lot of people, what they do is they try to go for the extremes of diets. So that is to be avoided. A balanced diet where you get your essential fatty acids, where you get protein, where you get carbs are all important. What is important is the ratios. Now, I think most people in India forget that they are consuming almost 80% carbs. Now, if you as a person are consuming 80% carbs, which is mostly bread, roti, chawal, and hard, and no nuts and oils at all in your diet, then you need to uh, balance. That means you're already on an unbalanced diet. And one thing which I find interesting is that when people say, oh, my normal diet, when will I have? So sometimes I look at their diet and say, your normal is an abnormal diet. This is not what healthy people are supposed to eat. You know, because their diet is full of things which are not normal.
true, true. Sometimes they'll even say, you know, I just have one meal in a day, which for them, and they're having, even if they're having just fruits for breakfast and soups for dinner, they don't take it as a meal. So why make that mistake at all? Have what you're having, you know, have what you feel is a proper meal so that you give your body the nourishment. Doctor, we'll move on to the next question. It's from Raja Ram Thorve. How can we prevent children from eating junk food? Are there any healthy recipes, snacks that we can give them instead of junk food? How can we prevent children from eating junk food?
See, there are 2, 3 very simple things we can do. See, first thing I want everybody to understand is children don't buy food. Parents buy food. And parents get these things at home. So I think parents need to change their buying behavior. You know, when they buy tons of chips and keep them in the cupboard, and when they buy all these bhujiyas and keep them in the cupboard, and every time, you know, chocolates are given. So I think it's the buying behavior of parents which needs to be changed, because parents say, oh, wo bacha mang raha hai. See, first we get them and then we blame the child. So first thing is, don't get them home. Don't get such things home. Number one. Number two is that make normal food interesting. I mean, if you're going to be cooking normal food in such a boring way, obviously the child will get attracted to other things, you know. So make normal food interesting. Like, for example, if you cut fruits in interesting cubes and put colorful fruit, like, you know, you have mango, you have banana, you have apple cubes, you have cherries, and you cut it and put it in the refrigerator and have it as a you know, in the morning together. Why won't the child eat? The child will eat. But if it's not presented very well, the child doesn't develop, even early on, doesn't develop the habit of eating fruits. Similarly, if you want to say have the child eat some healthy vegetables, so you can even make a baked cutlet. You know, take little bit of potato mashed and take lots of vegetables, mash them, and make it into a green cutlet, which is baked. These days you have air fryers and all available. So you can make it into a baked cutlet with very, very little oil, just enough so that it is healthy but not overdosed. If you make salads, you chop tomatoes, cucumber, make them small, and then put a very nice homemade dressing with olive oil, with honey, with apple cider vinegar,
Oh,
put
it's
little
yummy.
bit of, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first we don't cook exciting food, then we blame children that they don't want to eat. Obviously, they don't want to eat because we don't cook
Yeah.
it nicely.
Yeah, and even in our childhood, at least, even if there was a pastry that would come to our house, it would get distributed or shared within, all our siblings. I mean, I remember a Maggie would be was always shared between the me and my brother. So it's important that even if they're having the junk food, the portion control is very, very important. It's not that they just, have how much ever they feel like. I think there also the parents should kind of control it.
Yeah, and along with that, I would say that today you can order on phone and it will come to your house.
Oh, yes.
So I
Yes.
think it's important that we have to be a little careful that we don't get into a habit of just ordering, because there are very nice deals happening. So you buy one, you get another one free and stuff like that. So I think sometimes we only over order, and that overeating is a family trait. It's not a child's trait. It's a family trait. You over order, then you overeat.
True, true. Uh, Doctor, we have another question. What is the importance of vitamin D and B12 in wellness keeping? How to make up for this deficiency? This is from Pushpin.
Yeah, very, very important question. First, I'll take a vitamin D. In fact, research has shown that people who have pre-existing low levels of vitamin D are most at risk of not only catching coronavirus after exposure, but also it being fatal. So it is important to get your vitamin D levels checked. If it's low, you immediately need supplementation with vitamin D sachets, and there are many things available. Normally, 60,000 units is started once a week. Uh, Otherwise, actually, vitamin D you can take from the sun, and in the morning, if you till 8 a.m. There is enough sunlight for you to give yourself a little exposure to the sun, and it's not strong, so you won't fall ill. So sun exposure for 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the morning would be wonderful. It's also good to actually if you get sun exposure, it keeps depression also away. And that is why the traditional Surya Namaskar was basically a 2-in-1. It was to get vitamin D, and it was to exercise, and
Yeah.
to also prevent against depression, because it is a proven thing that absence of sunlight or dark rooms push people into depression, severe depression. And we know Nordic countries go through depression because they have very low sunlight 6 months of the year. Now coming to B12, B12 is a really important vitamin, the importance of which again last few years, there's been a lot of research on vitamin B12. In fact, I'll tell you a case study. So there was a lady who was a patient, and she was being treated for depression, but and one fine day she couldn't get up from the bed, and so her family thought maybe she's severely depressed. But later on, they found out that she had extremely low levels of B12. And once they started supplementing her with B12, her depression also improved radically. So sometimes you have these deficiencies intermixed with psychological conditions. So
Right.
poor eating leading to deficiency, deficiency leading to depression and fatigue and tiredness. So it becomes like a hodgepodge of symptoms, which is very difficult to diagnose.
We have Mr. Amar K who's asking, so can we take vitamin supplements like C, D, zinc, etc. without going for a blood test?
See, there are fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. So vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E are fat-soluble. That means they not only can be stored in your body, but if you cross certain levels, they are not healthy. Then they're not very healthy for you. So for vitamin D and all, you definitely need to get a test done because you can't over-medicate yourself. But for water-soluble vitamins like C and all, it's not really required.
Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you so much for your time. It was a very interesting session. I hope we all got to learn a lot.
Sangeeta, if I have your permission, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sharma, you mentioned about milk. How much milk is too much milk?
So, like I said, that milk is just a food, and normally, as you grow older, the requirement of milk in normal grown-up adults is not really there. So, I would say that when you drink beyond 1 glass of milk, you are replacing it with some other food which you would have otherwise taken, because milk, after drinking milk, you feel full and you don't want to eat anything else. So, more than a glass of milk, I don't think is really required. Uh, and uh, and for people who are lactose intolerant, I normally suggest that there are other sources of calcium like ragi atta, like til seeds, which you can, like green leafy vegetables, which you can have if you are lactose intolerant. But a glass of milk should be sufficient. Again, I'm saying this because the more milk you drink, you're somewhere replacing a healthy, nourishing food with milk.
Thank you very much. And the second question is for diabetic patients. You talked about exercise. Now, what is the minimum exercise that every diabetic person must undertake?
So 30 minutes of daily exercise 5 times a week is the minimum. It is the bare minimum. Because why I say it's the bare minimum is because not only exercise, fortifies you against blood sugar imbalances, but with age we all know that our back muscles start deteriorating. Now, if you look at the spine is supported on both the sides by muscles, which are back muscles. When we don't exercise these back muscles and we are sitting 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, these muscles start degenerating very rapidly. Now, when these muscles degenerate, the natural spinal curve is lost and slip discs start happening. If you notice, a lot of people who do frequent flying and traveling, they are coming up with slip discs and surgeries at a very young age. When I say young, I mean for me even 50 is young, because that's not the age to have a slip disc and land up in a hospital. So the problem why these people are having slip disc is because they are killing their muscles. They are constantly sitting and their muscles are collapsing, literally collapsing. And with that, the back muscles, if the back muscles are weak, what will happen is, and with the kind of what we call a pot belly, so there is a double pull to the back. So not only are the back muscles weak, but the weight on the abdomen is also pulling the spine. So this combination is really bad for the spinal cord. So I would say strength training is also very important after the age of 40. Till 40, the muscles still have some strength. And I would say if you're a frequent flyer or anybody who's a frequent flyer, strength training should start from the age of 35.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I have one question for Sangeeta.
Yes.
Sangeeta, can you tell me what all people must do for their mental well-being, mental health? Because, you know, most people under this COVID time are under huge amount of mental stress because people are not going to work, they are sitting at home, you know, all their routine is totally upset. So what is the advice that you will give it to people who are sitting at home that they should do so that their mental health is very sound and good?
Right, sir. So the first thing that is very important, of course, stress plays a very important part in mental health. Considering the times that are happening with everything changing, you know, we have to deal with a new kind of stress and we have to be adaptive. The first and foremost thing is you should have a proper 6 to 8 hours sleep. As sleep properly, have a nice sound sleep. You should plan your day well in advance. Give time for, because we are all indoors, we are all doing all the chores, everything that can kind of become a little too difficult to handle. So allocate tasks for each day, for yourself, for your kids, and the entire family, or if you're alone, you should allocate tasks and work together as a group. The next important thing is food. Try to avoid unhealthy food. These only enter in your system and give you more stress, you know. So the best thing is to add fruits, foods like vitamin C rich foods. They give you, they form a stress buster, you know. They help with your immune, they help reduce stress. So foods like lemons, oranges, and for some people, if you know, if they are allergic to lemons, or if they catch a cold or cough with lemons and all, they can always replace it with moringa or wheatgrass, or like Dr. Shika said, with giloya and all. There are ways to incorporate vitamin C into your diet. Vitamin C is a brilliant stress buster. You know, having proper meals. Wake up, have your proper breakfast. You know, that kind of when you miss your breakfast is when your body thinks, oh God, what do I do? How do I survive for the whole day? And that's when you get all these junk food cravings. So it's important to have a nutritious, nourishing breakfast, so that you know, you can concentrate better for your day, you can have a better focus. Have a proper mid-meal snack, say for example some fruits or some nuts. Have a proper lunch, a balanced diet. Have your whole wheat rotis, or whatever you're having, some sabzi, some dal, paneer, and after that have some fruits in your afternoon snack. Towards evening also, there are various healthy snacks that one can have. You know, it's not necessary that you head for packaged food or you call from outside. You know, something as simple as a boiled chana chaat is very healthy. Some sprout salads, like Dr. Shika had suggested, that's very healthy. uh, some cutlets, which is like kind of, you know, grilled, that's also a very healthy option. Especially when we are making food at home, that's always a healthier and a better option. And if making food kind of overwhelms you, then it's a good idea to kind of pre-plan, chop your vegetables, pre-plan your food, and keep it in the refrigerator, so that you know, in today's demanding times, we don't have to, you know, kind of get so overwhelmed with so many tasks. We have to do a lot of tasks, and it's always a better idea to pre-plan your life and then go about it. Um, the next thing is exercise. Exercise plays a very important role in managing stress and keeping your mind, you know, clear, in helping you think better. And of course, pranayam, like doctor had suggested, pranayam is a very powerful tool to help you with your stress management. And of course, sleep. And there are some you know, having your meal towards the evening or by 8 o'clock, or sometimes having a chamomile tea, which kind of helps you with getting a proper night's rest. These are the things that will help you in the long term.
You see, in these COVID times,
Yes, sir.
as employers, the challenge we are facing is that you have a set of people who are in the front line, and they are actually performing more work than they were performing earlier. And then you have people who were in the back of the house, who are not going to office and sitting at home. People who are sitting at home, it's not that they are not doing any work. Now their total office routine is disturbed. Their whole work environment has changed. You know, when they are sitting at home, the family is also there. Now families, they are intruding in their family time, you know, because otherwise they were away from the home, and now they are all the time at home.
Yeah.
Whatever work they are performing while sitting at home, they are disturbing family. So this is also creating a different kind of stress in the minds of the people. So both of you can suggest that, you know, how this kind of situation has to be handled by the people.
Right, sir. So it should be made very clear that, you know, if this is my office hour, it's just that I'm not in office, but I'm at home, but I'm in office. So that differentiation has to happen. You can probably allocate a separate corner or a table for yourself, and then treat that as your office. Don't wear your pajamas and, you know, shorts and then come and do your office work. So if you're still in your home attire, then of course your mentality is still that, okay, I'm at home, but I'm working. So what exactly I'm doing? So that attire is also a very important thing. And even with children, of course, we must give them time. With our family, we must give them time. But it's important to explain that these are the times that I'm available, and these are the times that I may not be available. Change is the only constant. I mean, if we have to work from home, if we have people interrupting us, let's accept it and set boundaries and restrictions so that nobody nobody has any tips or any expect incorrect expectations from each other. And yeah, like said, evening as a family time. And what more can we see? The positive side is at least during the lunchtime you have your family around and you can enjoy your lunch with your family. I guess that's a very good thing to happen, right?
See,
Dr.
another
Shifa? Sorry.
challenge is that man is a social animal,
Yes.
and this pandemic has reduced the total social interaction for people. Because you want to go out, you want to meet people, you want to meet your kith and kin, you want to go and meet your friends. Now you are having this challenge when you want to meet, but you are not being able to meet. Okay, so how should people, kind of in times like this, manage the situation? What advice would you like to give it to them?
So, sir, there are the first thing is, of course, it's human nature for us to go out and meet people. But if it's not happening, this is not a permanent solution. This is not a permanent situation. We have to accept that maybe for a few months or maybe for another year, this will be the situation. If we don't have to go out, let's accept it. Going out means wanting a little bit of activity, right? There are a lot of online exercise classes that happen. One can join that, or nowadays you can see you can always plan a video conference with your family or with your friends, and just treat it like it's not that the people are inside your house, but you can always chat with them. It's not that you have to be alone, you have to be lonely. You might be alone but not lonely. So
Thank
you
you
have
very,
social media, you have so many other options nowadays.
very nice. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for coming and sharing all your thoughts with us. And I'm sure all the participants have really enjoyed and learned a lot from all your experience and advices. And going forward, everybody would try and take tips back home and begin to use them in their daily life. And when we meet next time, I'm sure all of them will be richer and have enjoyed this interaction, and they will have many more questions to them, and they'll come more prepared to ask you, so that they can benefit more and more in their future life. And thank you very much, both of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.